Hello everyone, welcome to Narain's Life with MS. I am Narain and it's time for our newest series on Narain's Life with MS, which is going to be, can we have a drum roll? Truthful Tuesdays. Now, the reason I decided to do Truthful Tuesdays as opposed to, uh, you know, the other Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday. I'm forgetting the name right now, but the other series was just because I realized that it's much easier to talk about some things that, have plagued me in the past and, you know, kind of do today because, at one point in time, you know, uh, it's become very apparent to most people that do see me that they can kind of tell that I have a problem, right? That I do have a medical condition, or at least I'm bad at walking, bad at reading, bad at seeing things, bad at recognizing people. I think that's more of a personality trait rather than something that is MS related. But it definitely is something that I can definitely talk quite a few things about. And so as a result, I decided that rather than talk about all of the different things that have changed about me as a result of MS, um, the one thing that I'm going to discuss is about some truths about MS. And I think the first truth that I'm going to divulge is something that I've said constantly, but is something that uh, I do want to reiterate, at least keep a full video for it, which is that MS for every single person is going to be different. MS for every single person is different, and to the point that now I don't know how many twins actually have MS, both of them, but chances are that they probably don't experience the exact same symptoms, or at least the exact same severity of symptoms. And the way I can kind of tell is because even when I talk to other MS patients and I discuss a certain issue that I have, a lot of times the other patients might not understand what I'm saying. um, so for example, the fact that I have issues with my left leg. Quite a few patients that I know actually have a weaker right leg, or have more problems on the right side of the body. Funnily enough, it sometimes does happen that they were more right dominant, and turns out that their right side has become a little weaker. And funnily enough, considering my left side is dominant and it's become weaker, I think might be something there. But I do know people that you know also talk about the other case as well, where their non-dominant side is has become the weaker side. uh, and it definitely does become something of a unique feeling, but also a shared experience where you know within the entire group of patients that probably and that have multiple sclerosis, no two people will complain about the exact same, or even if two people will complain about the exact same symptom that is turning out to be the worst symptom for them. They might have different symptoms that they will put as their second worst or third worst or their fourth worst. And that's what makes MS a very colorful medical condition, that no two people have the exact same thing. And as a result, a lot of times uh, when people are receiving certain treatments, or when people are approaching certain specialists for certain things or certain issues that they're facing, a lot of times, another person might not have gone to the same person, or might not have been complaining of the same issues. So that makes, besides making MS a colorful condition, it also makes everyone's story a little bit different. Everyone's story does become unique. And that just pretty much puts into perspective the fact that, when we are, of course, when we look at certain things or certain other diseases, something that is very common, like the common cold or the flu, it actually leads us to understand why, people have different reactions to um, that same disease, right? And so when there are certain, there is certain information that is put out, or any information that is published, it has to be in almost a very generic fashion. And the reason it has to be generic is because it has to be able to appeal to a lot larger of an audience, rather than something that, um, you know will only help a select few individuals, or a select one or two people. Because a lot of times, and even when, there are larger, more generalized statements that are going out, sometimes that also might not appeal to everyone. um, there definitely are, there are definitely certain types of multiple sclerosis that are out there that are much rarer than others, right? A lot of times when I have talked about multiple sclerosis, I generally do, talk about whether it is maybe a treatment or a certain approach for relapsing forms of MS, as opposed to progressive forms of MS. But there are, of course, a lot of other types of MS that are actually out there. It's just that they are so much rarer that, uh, it there is a whole new list of um, different things, different frameworks that, get applied when discussing them. So as a result, a lot of times when, there is a certain general statement that is pretty much, published or pretty much announced in regards to MS, uh, it really comes with, um, you know an underlying statement that says that this might appeal to certain people a lot more than others. But the more important part is that, you know uh, regardless of the magnitude that it can help you, do try it out and do see for yourself how much it does end up helping you. So that, covers pretty much how MS is different. And considering that, until now, while there is a certain, while there is almost a consensus as to what might be one of the underlying causes of MS, it is still one of the, because, there are other ways that MS might actually strike a person. And the sheer fact that, that it can strike people at different times in their lives is reason enough to understand that this is a very unique disease, this is a very unique medical condition. And that when you do approach a certain person who does have MS or is experiencing MS, don't treat them to the same magnitude as you would treat another MS patient, because their story might be very different from any other MS patient that and so the only thing that I can counsel you on when approaching or when interacting with someone who does have MS is to first open that line of communication, open that line of discussion as to asking, um, you know, what what are your biggest concerns, especially when you know dealing with multiple sclerosis, right? How far are you? How long has it been since your diagnosis? What has been the speed at which you're experiencing deterioration in your body? Because I can tell you there are going to be a lot of different cases that are going to be out there, and it's very important to take to listen and hear all of us out. So while I am putting myself out there, and kind of sharing my story on YouTube, do understand that there will be you know 100 out of 100 people that will say something that is completely different, or almost the exact opposite as mine. But that is how this disease just ends up being. So with that said, I hope you found this new series enlightening. Of course, in future episodes I might um, share something that might be a little common, or something that is a little more unique to me. But of course, this is, as I said, Truthful Tuesday, so I'm just going to be sharing some truths that does go on to kind of paint a picture of my life. But with that said, of course, I do understand that it is a little late, so good night, sweet dreams, and I will come to you again tomorrow, and let's celebrate day 150 tomorrow with me, right here on Narene's Life with MS. And with that said, good night and see you tomorrow. Bye.